Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions, where we are critical, not cynical, of the music we listen to. I'm your host, Bryan, and we're going to do a creator request today, which is where a smaller band gets in contact with me and asks me to check out their work. Today, I got an email from Morgan Wick. I'm a progressive rock metal composer and guitarist. I also run a popular YouTube channel focused on composing and understanding prog. I've just released my latest music video for the Great Stereopticon. 8 minutes long, 190 time signature changes, multiple a cappella sections, crazy solos, and an intriguing lyrical concept. I'm reaching out to see if you'd be interested in reacting to the video. Yes, Morgan, 100%. You had me at 190 time signature changes, which, if I recall correctly, is more than Dream Theater had in Stream of Consciousness, which was a major point that a lot of people pointed out to me, which was what made it interesting and awesome. I also see down here, the channel is called The Prog School, and I did look at a few of the videos, and I'm probably going to dig into the channel a little bit. It's got some pretty cool stuff in there explaining, what one video was, time signatures you need to know. Odd time signatures you need to know, I think. And then they actually made a song based off of all those time signatures, which is pretty cool. I'm expecting to see some of that in here. Also says that the album came out on May 20th. So if you enjoy this track after we're done checking it out, there's a full album full of this stuff that you can go look at. So let's see what Morgan Wick is bringing to the table today.
A lone and naked man clings to dreams you once so desperately to believe. A drone without a hive, a man with no home. Kill, sleep, succeed, repeat, survive. But nothing matters anyway. Needs a story to end all of the futility. Behold,
We got some crazy polyrhythm going on. Harmonies are gorgeous.
Great Stereopticon.
Love that bass tone. What are we, 15, 16 right now? Whoa, real clean percussion playing. Really fun rhythmic melodic ideas on top of our rhythmically syncopated concept. Yeah, would we get a synthesizer over here for a moment? Oh, what? Nice 5/4 groove going on here.
Bathing its peace, blue light opticon release my mind free from the disease of life. Sleep, succeed, repeat, survive. Of course, it might be a grand.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of those are going to be making up our 180 time signature changes. Yeah, the fourth bar on a lot of these 4-bar phrases are a different time signature than our core ones that comprise our other 3 bars.
Sleep sexy, did you hear the news today?
Oh, yeah. Those unison 16th notes, so precise. Vocally, the rhythmic choices and the flow choices give me a strong sense of Queensryche for some reason. Oh, that modulation. We took a triplet down to this rhythm.
We
has to learn 11/8 or 6/5, however you want to feel it. And I love the organ sound we got over here. Very prog. It's also lining up with the vocal line. Had harmony in the melody there. Let's see once again.
Truth like a flame burning the light. Truth like a flame burning the light. Truth like a flame burning. You don't watch the news, watching you. You don't watch the news, truth like a flame burning. You don't watch the news, watching you. You don't watch the news, like a flame burning. You don't watch the news, burning.
Oh yeah.
Truth like a flame burning. Truth like a flame burning.
Yeah, those accent shifts are bonkers. Yeah, see right here, we have the core body for like the first 6 hits. And then sometimes we have a 7th and an 8th on top of it. Small variations. Holy counterpoint, Batman. This part, we're gonna have to come back to it. Intro was at a 4th. Very tense harmony right there. I love those little jazzy moments you bring in.
Slide in the carousel of my life.
Oh, another 11 there.
Gods before me, fantasies flicker by. I offer myself before the willing.
Back to the alternating 6 and 5.
In my past, I have wondered, but now I see the light.
Oh, I really wanted the vocals to go one more third up and really land on the note for the guitar to start shredding under. That would have been so big. Maybe too big. Yeah. I should have seen that coming. Back to the groove. Yeah, I should have been expecting that the guitar solo was not going to stop so that we could bring the final set of vocals in. Um, Jeez, I mean, there- you don't need me to tell you how great that was or all the individual phenomenal things that were going on in there. Um, just phenomenal stuff. I got to use that word again. Um, so many great majestic moments in there where we're just working within like prog rock with a little bit of classical element going on. And then you dig into these jazzy moments for just a second, and it's so good. Um, it's just, and then the harmonies and just the crafting of the meters and it just, I mean, Morgan Wick, that was phenomenal. I'll be checking out an album this weekend, I think. For everyone else who might feel a little lost, though, also, I'm real curious why. I mean, I interrupted myself there. Sorry. We'll get back to that. Why this channel only has 4,000 subscribers. Um, this band, not sure who. Yeah, I don't have a personnel list here. I'm not sure who composes all of this. How much of it is, maybe Morgan writes everything but needs bandmates, and that's where the band comes in. They're performers primarily. Or if there is a huge collaboration between everybody in the group to craft this. Um, but I don't know where I was going with that. Why are there only 4,000 subscribers on this, though? That's where I was going to get into. I don't know why I went into personnel and stuff like that. My brain is, I'm telling you, my brain's thousand cycles a second right now, just trying to process all that. I'm trying to remember what I want to remember to talk about. That's a weird way to word that. Um, yeah, why are there only 4,000 subscribers though? That's bonkers. I can't wait to dig into the videos now. Like, if this is what you've put together, you have such a strong grasp of so much uh compositional grasp. There's some theoretical grasp, huge understanding of rhythmic structures. Because I'll tell you, I picked up on a lot of time signatures. I did not pick up on 180, other than that section I want to talk about. I said I was going to bring it up. I'll get to it. It's kind of cheating a little bit, but I don't think that the 180, 190, whatever that was, is incorrect. But the ability, well, all right, let's get into it. Stop gushing. Let's analyze. That's a weird thing to say. I don't want to. I'm in a weird state of mind. Got so much to think about. We got to talk about time signatures. I think that is a big thing here. Let's dig into this. I think the song started on 1516. I picked up an 11/8, which I think was a composite of a 5 and a 6, 5/8 and 6/8. Um, there was a 4/4 that I grabbed. Not sure if it was actually 4/4 or not. Might have been a temporary pass. We accidentally put a 4/4 in there. We didn't want anything standard, and we landed on there momentarily. I apologize, kind of situation. I was honestly surprised that I found one, and it's quite possible I didn't. Um, there were a ton of transitionary time signatures. Like a 1/4, and I think there was a 2/4, and there was like a 3/8. Um, it's this is kind of where the cheating part comes in. That section that I pointed out, said we need to talk about this, where it was like this lick and then this lick and then this lick and then this lick, and they all felt very disconnected, but also kind of connected in that it flowed in a sense. We had a different time signature every single bar for like 30 bars. And that's why I say it kind of cheats a little bit. Because when you put 30 time signatures back to back like that, it's definitely going to boost the numbers up. Um, but what I find most interesting is that aside from some of the rhythmic structures in there that certainly give it away, the melodic flow of that entire solo section works. And this is what I want to tie back to all of the time signature changes throughout. I said that I only picked up a handful. Well, a handful out of the 190. I still picked up like 12 or 13. So, I picked up a lot, but not as many, a very small percentage of how many there were in the song. Um, Despite that, though, there is a very strong sense of groove throughout all of it. And I think that's one thing I really want to hammer home is that it doesn't feel like there's so many time signature changes in here. And while I will probably say there's a good 30 or 40 that kind of get grouped up in one section, which really only leaves, like 150 to put in the other 8 minutes of the song, which is still a bonkers amount. Um, there's still this really strong sense of groove despite changing all the time. Um, I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that there is still a frequent use of 4 bar phrases, which really helps the song feel cohesive in a sense. It gives the listener something to grab onto while the time signature and tempo and key and mode continue to shift all over the place, where we do drastic jumps from guitar heavy moments to jazzier concepts to a cappella in several sections. There is one thing that the audience, the listeners, can still hold on to, a constant that they might find familiar, and that's the 4 bar phrase. And this is where I think several of the time signatures end up fitting outside of that chaotic 1 meter per bar concept we had, is that a lot of your phrases are based off of 3 bars in one time signature and then a bar of an extension of that time signature. So maybe we take a beat away, or we add a beat, or even take 2 beats, or add 2 beats to it. And we can then take what we've already played and then either cut off the last 2 beats or add 2 more ideas to it to extend it out a little bit. This is something I've talked about with a lot of prog bands, a lot of bands who like to play around with time signature. This is a very common way of writing a riff that can fit within several time signatures. And it's all about the extension technique. You write your core bass idea, maybe it's 6 beats, and then you can add 1, 2, 3, 4 beats to it if you need to, and continue on the idea. Or we can even shave some of the rest. We can shave some of the end of it off, which is going to give us an abrupt sound. But jumping around between all these meters is already kind of creating an abruptness. That's kind of the point of it. It feels like you're being jostled around at times. So it really doesn't stand out that much to do it this way. And like I said, I think this is fantastic because it does give a ledge a little bit to hold on to, something for comfort, something that feels familiar at all across all of this. So that helps a lot. But you guys also do a fantastic job of finding the overarching rhythm. Even when you start shifting between, well, actually, this is how you do it, is you shift between downbeats on some bars and offbeats on the other bars, so that the accented hit in the groove doesn't change, but the groove against the main melody does. And I picked this up in, must have been at least 5, 6, 7 of the sections, so I think this is what ended up happening in a lot of it. But the listener can really get into a groove and not really care that the meter is changing so frequently, because you gave them a pulse to groove to bob their head to headbang to. Um, that is something else. Between that and the 4 bar phrase, really helps sell some of the palatability that the abrasive structural aspects do not afford the listener. And through that, you find actually a really great middle point, despite the song really trying, pushing itself way out to an unpalatable aspect of the listenability spectrum. There is that middle ground there where, like, even if you don't get everything that's going on, even if it is a lot of a lot, we're still going to give you this little groove. We're going to give you something to move to understand and feel against all the chaos. And those two elements really help to ground the song a bit and keep it rooted in an aspect of simplicity or expectation, I should say, possibly, not necessarily simplicity. So, yeah, just masterful use of time and groove and utilizing them in various strengths to achieve a song that is mostly listenable, even if it is extremely chaotic when you get to the nitty gritty of it. It doesn't, I should say that the complications of the track are obfuscated by the groove, which is a positive aspect. Um, Guitar work, drum work, bass work, musicianship as a whole, as well as group synergy, is phenomenal here. I really thought coming into this that the vocals were going to be the highlight and the mathematical aspect of it would be the other highlight, whereas possibly the instrumental work might be more of a secondary aspect. We see this a lot with, um, well, not to call out a genre, but gent bands, where they are rhythmically interesting, lots of syncopated attacks, but musically it tends to be just chugging on a single note. So there is a skill, a musicianship skill in there and following these very complex patterns, but as far as watching the hands and any sort of flashy, showy off kind of stuff like that, it's pretty non existent. And that's kind of what I was thinking we were in for. And I was just completely blown away after the first guitar set. I think as soon as the first guitar part came in, and there's just all this shred going on. It's very fun and energetic to watch, but it also adds a second layer of complexity on top of the rhythmic component. Is also the performative component. Um, Not just in finding the groove and playing the rhythms, but also making sure you hit all the right notes. There's also a strong display of all sorts of skills. We had tapping, we had sweeping, we had some whammy use. Just if there was a guitar skill, it was tossed in here. Um, the bass had some really phenomenal bass lines. I love how it was included in some of it. It is still a very guitar driven song. I think most of the really complex ideas were run by the guitar, but the bass did have some moments to shine, and I'm just a huge fan of that. The drummer had plenty of moments to showcase their skill, and like I said, there's a real strong band synergy here. There were a few moments, two or three at least, where the whole band had these really precise 16th note hits, and the space, you could hear the space between each of the attacks, which you put two people together, it's already a difficult task. Three plus people together trying to do that, I mean, it can get complicated. Well, not complicated. It can get muddy, and just having that precision, that silence between each note, it's sharp, it's crisp, it's exactly what you would want from those types of ideas, and you guys nailed it. Vocal work. Where do I begin? Very powerful vocals. It is kind of mind blowing how much skill is in this band. Just everybody's at the top of their game, compositionally and performative side. The vocals are much in line with everything else. I don't know who all is doing the vocals. There was one scene in the video where it looked like some of the people were doing vocals, but it could have also just been the actors, because I honestly don't remember the bandmates. That's kind of bad. Focusing so much on the audio, the visual aspect just did not take to memory. Um, I don't know who in the band. I kind of get the feeling that all of the acapella stuff is just the vocalist, but there's also such a range to it and a couple of color changes, some timbre changes that kind of tell me there's at least a second vocalist in here. But honestly, I don't know. So I'm kind of interested if we have just the main vocalist or if more people in the band provide some of the harmonies. I'd really like to hear that everybody in the band does harmonies, and that's where you get your four-way harmonies from. And if you do it live, everybody participates. But um, you know, it's already a stretch to have a guitarist at this level also do vocals at this level. These aren't just rock vocals. This is there's a theatricality to it, and I would wager to say that our guitarist vocalist is. I might be wrong on this. Let me know. They did vocal training first and picked up the guitar later. That's my guess here. Um, but yeah, if the bassist is a phenomenal bassist and can sing, and your drummer is the same situation as that, and like the three of you found each other to make this, like the chances of that are wild. So I'm kind of leaning towards the vocalist doing all the backup vocals for the acapella stuff. But those chords are gorgeous. All the harmonies that the vocals do are just wonderful. And of course, they're not just always harmonies. We also get some bonkers counterpoint going on there, and it doesn't just stop at the choir. I mean the vocals either. There were a couple of sections where we had our a cappella group and our guitar and a bass all doing like different things. Um, yeah, I mean, just even the counterpoint writing as a whole gets a bit chaotic, but still works. I don't know if that's just because from the start of the song, I'm already at like a 10 or 11 as far as being overwhelmed by audio. And so when we get those three-way counterpoints, I'm like, okay, just bring it, whatever. I'm already here. But I do want to listen to this a second time, and I will when I hit the album, and really hone in on the composition of that, aside from the production aspects, the harmonies, and all that, and really try to see how they play off of each other. I'm really not thinking I'm going to be disappointed, given how strong the rest of the song was, but I'm a bit curious because it kind of felt like a whirlwind at times. There's a lot of this song that I don't have as strong of a memory of. But yeah, the vocals were just bonkers good. I already talked about the counterpoints. I kind of jumped the gun on that, but whatever. Um, that can't be it. There had been something else I wanted to talk about. I don't know. Like normally I would talk about structure, but I mean there were so many time signature changes, so many section changes. Um, I couldn't even tell you the structure. It feels wholly linear, but we did end up having some repeated sections. In a couple of places, there was two melody lines, two hooks that I caught on to and remembered from previously. So there's at least two repeated moments. But as a whole, it feels fairly linear. Yeah. So dang, I know I'm missing something, but Morgan Wick, if y'all are watching this, I'm gonna let you know that anything that I was gonna bring up and forgot was just gonna be praise anyways. I touched on all the instruments though. I touched on all the styles. I touched on the soloing, melody writing, counterpoint, musicianship, time signature. Yeah, we're gonna hit lyrics. Um, and I'm gonna be blown away if the lyrics are like super deep. I know you said there are interesting themes in the lyrics, but if the lyrical writing is on par with the musical writing, just first of all, 4K subscribers. Why? Why is it so low? But second of all, just the sheer luck of this group finding each other uh, blows my mind. All right, lyrics. Alone and naked, man clings to dreams he wants so desperately to believe, a drone without a hive, a man with no home. So we have alone and naked, tying back to the future idea, man with no home. Clings to dreams and wants so desperately to believe, a drone without a hive. So a drone is telling them things like an ant drone, I'm going to assume, um, or possibly given a hive bees. I don't know if bees also have drones. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a insectologist. That's the wrong word. Um, Anyways, so there's a drone without a hive, which kind of makes them pointless. They are designed to work within a society and they are lacking the society. They have no purpose to their life in a sense. Um, and so this person who's alone and naked with no home themselves wants so desperately to believe whatever the words that this drone is telling them. Kill, sleep, sex, eat, repeat, survive, fully stakes his days. He needs a story to end all the futility. Oh, fully stalks his days. He needs a story to end all the futility. So life is feeling meaningless at the moment. It's just an endless cycle, and things feel futile. And this person wants purpose, says he needs a story. All is permitted, but nothing matters anyways. He needs a story he can believe in. This is interesting because the first time I interpreted that as needing purpose, but this time there's an extension to the line, which is just such a prog thing to do. We just talked about utilizing extensions musically with music lines in order to craft the extra time that we would use in shifting time signatures, and here we've done that lyrically. He needs a story he can believe in. So it's not so much about finding purpose in this stanza, but it's about finding some higher element, something that would help them believe there is something more than the mundanity. Behold a myth that's binding all men, purpose for all our days, the Great Stereopticon. Bathe in its peace, blue light, Opticon relieves my mind free from the disease of life. Now, only halfway through these lyrics, give it geez, a quarter of the way through these lyrics. I'm not pulling punches on this. I'm getting the idea that the Great Stereopticon is a metaphor for technology as a whole. We're already talking about bathing in the peaceful blue light. Blue light is something that monitors and TVs and screens and all sorts of. It's one of the lights they use. It also disrupts our brain patterns and stops us from creating serotonin, I think, which is why it's so difficult to sleep at night for people who stare at their screens all day. So it's interesting, specifically pulled out the blue light. Bathe in its peace, the Opticon relieves, and your mind is free from the disease of life. So you're allowed to be transported somewhere else. Kill, sleep, sex, eat, repeat, survive. Of course, it might be a grand conspiracy, but it's better to believe than to kill, sleep, sex, eat, repeat, survive. So the conspiracy of the technology. It might be part of a grand conspiracy to have us tied to our technology, constantly noses in our phones, scrolling through social media, but it's better than this mundanity that our life is. After all, our life doesn't really give us very good. Man, what's that? Man, the happy drug, the one that the chemical your brain makes. Man, that's irritating. Dopamine. Yeah, social media specifically is really good at being a dopamine drip, so much more so than the cycles of daily life. Um, oh, also, I keep talking about this daily life routine, and I'm missing one part. You see, I'm latching on to the sleep, sex, eat, repeat, survive. The first part's kill, though. And that ruins the metaphor a little bit, because that seems to be extremely pointed towards this naked man in the forest searching for purpose. Less so for the metaphorical, as we don't typically kill daily, unless we talk about micro deaths. I kill bacteria daily. I use antibacterial soap. Um, and there is a distanced killing as far as food goes for anyone who eats meat. So, like, death is definitely a part of our daily life, but killing is not. So I'm gonna have to hang on to that thought. Anyways, it's so much easier to die. Did you hear the news today? Lie. Did you hear the news today? Alone and naked, man clings to dreams. He wants so desperately to kill, sleep, sex, eat. Did you hear the news today? This is fantastic. I wish I would have had these pulled up because I want to know how the delivery was on some of this because there's actually quite a few different vocal styles being utilized here. News, breaking news, the Opticon controls your mind. Used, are you amused? The Opticon, it keeps you blind. You can't resist the prejudice of black and white. Peace, a life of peace, if only you would bend the knee. So yeah, definitely going towards the technology ruling the world vibe, and I also like this concept of the panopticon being given to people before research is done on it, which is just so appropriate. All the social media research that came out as to its addictiveness and some of its destructive components, especially the way that most people utilize it today, we didn't know about when we started social media. At least not the social media of today. MySpace during Web 1.0 was very different than even MySpace of Web 2.0, but especially Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. And Instagram, very, very different uses of social media. We can even go back pre MySpace and look at stuff like bulletin boards and IRC, AIM. Social media was a very different beast than today. And we just kind of accepted this new wave of destructive apps we can go with. I feel it's, as a tech dude, it feels bad to call websites apps, but I think it gets the point across. Um, but yeah, so we didn't know about all this, and they kind of lean into this with the it might be a grand conspiracy, but it's really not that bad. And now here in the a few lines later, like yeah, it controls your mind, it keeps you blind. Like we're now discovering that it's actually a bad thing, but now everybody's already hooked on it. Now it's normal. Now we can't take it away. It says you could live a life of peace if only you would bend the knee, if only you submit to it. You got a pretty peaceful life. Of course, it's peace through ignorance. You're choosing to ignore all of the issues with life for this digital aspect here. Behold a myth that's binding all. Oh, yeah, the Great Stereopticon. We put in a new slide. Project the brightest days of life. Shadows of memories fall. We're reborn in ephemeral light. In our past we have wandered, but now we walk paths of light. Truth like a flame burning the lies. You don't watch the news watches you. This is getting to the. Okay, we gotta stop right here then. I like this because it brings back. It's such a good callback to me. It's a little nostalgic. I used to have a viewfinder, Viewmaster. I don't remember. Anyways, it was like this little goggles you put on your eyes, and you'd have to have light coming into it from some sort. I think you had to look at light actually, because the light would pass through, and you put these little slides in, and it would line up, and the light would come through these pictures, and they're like little magnifying glasses. Actually, like pre-VR, a lot of the same technology and the use of magnifying glasses to make small things larger right next to your face. Anyways, there's also this little thing on the side. You click it, and it would spin the slide so that you could see the next picture. That's kind of what this is alluding to, as and that was also tied to some older stuff, amusement, like what do they call them, penny amusements or something like that. You used to put a coin into these machines, and like they would do this. This was like early 1920s or something. This was the beginnings of like coin operated machines and stuff like that. Like I don't know, there's just like so much great little nostalgia towards stuff here that I'm not music related or lyric related, but I just want to point out because I'm like really enjoying some of this. Also, the whole idea of the stereopticon, stereo optics, two eyes, like uh, yeah, it probably also gave a sort of a fake idea of 3D pictures as well. That this is, but also because it's based off of old technology that also. Anyways, all right. So yeah, we put in a new slide. That's what he's talking about now, and project the brightest days of life because you project the picture through light. The shadows of the memory fall, which is really great because then we continue on with the idea of light to and continue on with the metaphor of light and the use of shadows, and those memories are reborn in ephemeral light. So we can make our own memories. Um, you don't watch the news watches you. Did you see the news today? News today, it watches you. Truth like a flame, burning the lies. The screen is weaponized, aim at your mind. Algorithm AI is aimed at your mind. So yeah, this is definitely beginning to warp around from just the metaphor and the allegory, directly speaking about the issues of today. Because as far as the video showed, and they're talking about so far, I don't think the Stereopticon has AI, but we're beginning to directly talk about issues with modern day technology. I place the worn slide in the carousel of my life, which is a lie. I worship the gods before me, fantasies flicker by, it's a lie. I offer myself before thee a willing sacrifice. In my past I have wondered, but now I see the light. Behold, a myth that's blinding all men, the purpose for all our days, the great stereopticon. So yeah, technology is our new god, which is, if you've ever read or seen American Gods, it's just a really great idea of this concept of technology being the new gods, um, and people worshiping them. You know, you hear a notification on your phone and just, what is it? I got to see what this is. Like at a beckon, and you're already there. Um, but fantasies flickering by, it's the carousel of your life, like how technology can make everything feel better. You can engage in your fantasies. Everything can look bright. You can put your life on the technology. And through all of this, you sacrifice yourself because you're not using the technology. The technology is using you, to borrow the idea of the news concept here. And this just goes back to like data use and um, basically, if a product is free, you're the product, which is just so appropriate when we talk about stuff like Facebook and Google and, well, pretty much any free app out there. Um, and just tying all this together, that when it comes to technology, you can use all of this. It'll make your life so much better, which is a lie. And all you have to do is sacrifice yourself. But because of that, we now have a myth that blinds all men. It gives us purpose for all of our days. It is the great Stereopticon. Now, normally here I would tie together the lyrical themes and the musical themes, and I don't see one. But the song is also this whirlwind idea that I didn't really catch any emotional concepts to because it was just moving so fast. I had a tough time really connecting with any specific vibes or atmospheres, primarily because I really didn't feel any, because it was all about the technical aspect. And I think I wanted to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up now, even though technically I'd be doing my sign off now that the lyrics are done. But this song does lean a little bit in the way of overly technical, where it impairs the emotional aspect. It is very uh, mechanical. And that's not to say that there aren't any emotional aspects to it. I feel like the vocals bring a very strong human element to the song. But because of the rigidness and constant fluctuation in the time signature and the styles and um, just all the sections, it ends up feeling, or it ends up getting to a point where I really, really, really am loving the technical aspect of it, but I had such a problem, a problem connecting with any emotional resonance. It is a song that is technical for technical sake in 90% of it, and so I really don't have much of a way. I called it mechanical and I called it technical, and it's a song about technology taking over and removing what purpose we have in life as humans, and bowing down to the technical, the technology, allowing it to take over, removing the human aspect from life and purpose. And part of the human life is emotion. Was that intentional, or am I grasping at straws here? I don't know. I haven't heard anything else. If this is just the typical style that Morgan Wick plays in, then I say I might be grasping at stars. I have dreams I want to follow too. I might be grasping at straws, but if this is a bit over the top of what is typically played on this prog album, I'm going to say it's intentional. It really leans into that overly technical machine like playing very right-minded, calculating, mathematical to remove any of the emotional components of it, because the song is about removing the human component and thus emotional aspects from life to bow down to technological masters. If so, phenomenal. That everything clicks that way. If not, it's still a masterwork of a track, even if the themes don't line up quite that way intentionally. I mean, you can always say they do now if it wasn't quite intentional, but if it wasn't the intention, you still have a remarkable track that all the gushing I did in the first 20, 30 minutes of this analysis are not taken away from the fact, are not removed just because there isn't a through line between your lyrical topics and your musical ones. Um, Anyways, those are my thoughts on Morgan Wick's The Great Stereopticon. Go ahead and check these guys out. Leave some comments for me and them, possibly. They might drop by. A lot of the creator requests do drop by into the comments, so leave them for them if you'd like. If you go into the description box, normally I'd put links for myself, but instead we're going to put links for Morgan Wick. You'll be able to find any platforms they're streaming on, as long as their website, and any merch sites if they have any links I can find, I'm going to put there. All right, that wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have an album review. I don't remember what album it is. Oh, I think it's Big Big Train, actually. Anyways, I'm really trying to get the Idola one from last week unblocked. Fingers crossed the Big Big Train one doesn't get unblocked. I don't typically have issues with that band as far as blocking videos, so we should be good, but it is a whole album, so who knows with record labels. Sunday we have our stream for the patrons, and then Monday we'll be back with next week's stuff. All right, until next week, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.